Oh, it's devastating. Your whole bottom drops out and you don't know how to go forward. One of my daughters came in and said, "Is Dad gone?"
Today is a really special day. Today we have Sarah Hale talking about her story of triumph over some unbelievable, extraordinary circumstances. Thanks so much for coming today.
Thank you for having me and allowing me to share my story.
Tell me about what happened and the circumstances that you found yourself in.
I thought I was living a really kind of almost idyllic fairy tale life. I had from the time I was 9, I wanted to grow up, get married, have twins, and be a stay-at-home mom, and I was living that dream. And I felt really, really lucky, and my bottom kind of fell out. Unfortunately, my husband's mother did physician-assisted suicide due to complications of ALS, so she chose to end her life, and that was something my husband just couldn't wrap his head around, and really had a tough time with it, and unfortunately turned to gambling and drinking and a lot of really bad behaviors, and really kind of let his life go. And so it was a constant struggle for me to try to keep life together and seemingly normal. Unfortunately, he anytime we would make appointments for him to get treatment, he either would not show or would not take it seriously. He tried medication once for 3 days and didn't like the way it made him feel, so stopped taking it.
Then what happened?
Eventually, it led to him killing himself, and he unfortunately shot himself 4 years ago this month.
What kind of impact did that have?
Oh, it's devastating. Your whole bottom drops out and you don't know how to go forward. And it's such a complicated form of grief because you'll never get answers to what happened. And you can't obviously ask the person.
Sure.
And you try to figure out how to wrap your head around it, and you can't.
How did you all get through that? How did the girls get through that?
Fortunately or unfortunately, my girls had a gymnastics meet away. So the 3 of us got in a car, and I somehow, 2 nights with no sleep, drove 9 hours to get them to this gymnastics meet, and we stayed there for 5 days. Best thing we could, and I could choose what phone calls I wanted to take. No one was stopping by. I really could figure out how we were going to move forward. Yeah. The girls and I did go and buy dresses for the funeral. Mm-hmm. We talked, a lot. They were 10, and so had some understanding.
Sure.
In fact, the night that I got the call from the hospital, I didn't wake them up. I stayed in my room and was looking up pictures on my computer that I could use, and one of my daughters came in and said, "Is Dad gone?"
How did she know?
He had been talking about suicide for months, and she could see my tears, and she knew without me saying anything.
What were the steps that really got you through?
Getting back to work and getting the kids back to school and getting us into a normal pattern was huge.
Yeah.
But also really being open and talking about it.
Yeah.
When somebody dies of natural causes or cancer or some other disease, everyone is there to offer the support and really appreciate the happy times. But when someone dies of suicide, there's so many negative times. Is it okay to remember the good times? Is it okay to be positive about him?
Yeah.
Is it okay to be happy? Luckily for me, I don't have guilt about the death because I know that I did everything I could. But I do have the guilt, like when it's our wedding anniversary.
Yeah.
I want to celebrate it and remember it, but I don't do it because, well, we weren't happy at the end.
Yeah.
So there's guilt there, and I feel like I'm not allowed to celebrate what we had.
So let's talk about what's going on today. What are you doing now?
Today I can thankfully say that I am a really happy mom of 2 daughters who are doing really great, and I'm a working attorney who has a job that allows me to be a single mom and still a successful career woman, and the flexibility to do both, and I'm very, very fortunate for that.
That's terrific. So what would you tell other women that are facing some of the same challenges?
Be somewhat of a self-advocate reaching out to others for help, because people do want to help, but they don't know how.
Yeah.
So if you need someone to pick up your kids from school, or if you need, one of my friends came over and organized my pantry. It was like the nicest thing anyone could have ever done for me.
Those things, like, especially if you like a really, high and tight house, like that's...
I also found it very important not to shut myself alone inside my house. If you sit home, you wallow. You look at old pictures, you think about it, you look around the room, you see things that remind you of when they were alive. And so you have to make sure that not only are you changing your environment some, but also that you're putting yourself out into the world, whether it be at work or a social engagement or an
isolation
activity.
Is deadly.
Go to the gym, do something that makes you feel good. And also understanding that mental illness, while it's been much more widely accepted now as a disease, it is a disease. And the addiction that follows is often just self-medicating to cover for that disease. And so understanding that and watching for signs of people around you that are maybe struggling with these same issues, or understanding that, drinking during the day, probably not a healthy activity. Depending on what you're doing.
Of course.
Girls trip, totally different. But, you don't want to get up and go to work with your vodka. And unfortunately, my husband was doing that at the end and was losing clients, and we just didn't see the signs early enough. My fairy tale did not turn out the way I wanted to. This was not how I saw it ending, but it doesn't mean I can't have another one. It doesn't mean that I can't move forward. My daughters had this song they loved growing up. It was The Princess Who Saved Herself, and I love that. You are in charge of yourself. Okay. So get out there and, make the world happy. Make yourself have a good day.
Yeah.
Have a good time. If you're complaining the whole time, it's your own fault.
These women's stories are so impactful. Arras Sisters creates opportunities for women.